Hello, my name is Nic Redburn. I'm part of TeamSeis, and we will be discussing leadership styles. My other team members include Xing and Sarah. Leadership styles determine a team's ability to work together effectively. There are many different types of leadership styles out there that can aid in managing employees in the healthcare setting. However, for this particular presentation, we'll be focusing. Transactional leadership can be described as a contingency reward system. An employee's productivity is exchanged for clear rewards. An example of this is if a leader provides monetary compensation for higher levels of transactional leadership, as with every leadership style, has its own strengths and weaknesses. A strength is that if the team is clearly on the same page because the goals and expectations were clearly defined, then you.
Thanks, Nick. So what is transformational leadership? The concept of transformational leadership was initially introduced by leadership expert James McGregor Burns. According to Burns, transformational leadership can be seen when leaders and followers help each other to advance to a higher level of morale and motivation. There are 4 components to transformational leadership. The first one, intellectual stimulation. Transformational leaders not only challenge the status quo, they also encourage creativity among followers. Second is individualized consideration. Transformational leaders also involve offering support and encouragement to individual followers. They often embrace open communication and the sharing of ideas. The third is inspirational motivation. Leaders have a clear vision that they are able to articulate to the followers. Last one is idealized influence. Transformational leaders are often seen as role models and is the source of their motivation. Like most leadership styles, they have strengths and weaknesses. Transformational leadership strengths. 1. Collaboration. Leaders collaborate with their followers to generate and explore new ideas. 2. Inspiring. This quality significantly contributes to the enthusiasm, happiness, attentiveness, and pride of the employees. This is important for a healthy organization. 3. Effectiveness. Transformational leadership style is known to be the most effective leadership style based on established research. Moving over to the weaknesses. 1. Restricted actability. Transformational leadership is not for every situation. For example, it is not great for organizations composed of followers performing routine and mechanic tasks, or emergencies that require quick decisions. 2. Work culture dependent. Transformational leadership does not work when employees do not want to be part of the process or does not work well together. 3. Pressure on the followers. High level of involvement in achieving collective goals and objectives might leave them feeling overworked or even exploited. Next up is Sarah, and she will be presenting situational leadership, and later we'll share our group recommendation.
Thank you for the introduction, Xing. So I am going to discuss situational leadership. This type of leadership can also be identified as the adaptive style, which was developed in the 1970s by Ken Blanchard and Paul Hershey. So both of these guys theorize the importance of flexibility and adaptability of leadership in the workplace. This type of strategy allows for managers to analyze the given situation and choose the most appropriate style. Choosing the right style is imperative because it allows leaders to direct employees into organizational success. Of course, there are many styles to choose from, ranging from the 2 that have been previously discussed to the others that are presented in this class project. However, leadership is not a one-size-fits-all deal. Managers need to understand and approach the situation based on a variety of factors, some of which include organizational goal, employee maturity, and as well as their competency. So how well they're up to doing the task. To better understand the adaptive concept, think about a time where you were presented with a situation that needed to be dealt with. What do you think is the most appropriate response? Well, it depends, right? So in terms of leadership, there is not one specific approach that properly addresses every single circumstance. There are probably a million different scenarios to deal with, especially when it comes to healthcare organizations. To better assess and approach these situations, Ken and Paul developed 4 different situational leadership types, which can be, which managers can apply in order to resolve various organizational issues. So the 4 styles include telling, selling, participating, and delegating. The level of maturity, competency, and motivation in an employee is important to assess when it comes to managerial guidance. Each of these styles reflect the different levels within an employee. Assessing the appropriate levels of these factors help to determine the most appropriate situational leadership type. So we'll start off with the first one, which is telling, also known as directing. A manager will reflect this style of situational leadership when an employee shows a lack of motivation and sense of competency is low. So lack of motivation can result from an employee's longevity and stagnation in the organization. Some positions allow for little to no growth, which often results in low motivation. When leaders need a task done, they often find themselves micromanaging these employees because the manager's trust in employees' competency is low. So we'll move on to the second one, selling, which is also known as coaching. In this situational style, a manager will still provide direction for these employees. However, employees are not capable of performing tasks sometimes because they lack the skills to do so. Oftentimes, it's a new hire, leaving the employee feeling insecure about their work and competency. They're brand new, they still are uncomfortable with what they can actually do. So it's important for managers to still provide positive guidance so employees are left feeling confident. The idea of selling is when managers have to convince the employee that not only their work or their involvement is vital, the completion of the task at hand is vital as well. So the third one is supporting, also known as participating. This style of situational leadership refers to the manager's ability to support their employees in times where they're feeling overwhelmed with their work. Sometimes workload appears to be limitless, thus making a manager's support crucial for a positive outcome. Also, employees can make mistakes performing a task, which in turn lowers an employee's confidence. Managers must encourage and remind their employees that mistakes happen and it's important to learn from them. In order to build confidence, managers can also remind employees that their reputation does not reflect true value and self-worth. So the very last one, which is delegating. In this style, managers tend to stay away in action as they have full trust in the staff. Managers can ultimately place a strong sense of trust among the staff because of the high level of maturity and competency. As long as a manager makes clear of the end goal, then employees can carry out the task with full confidence. So in this next slide, I will further discuss the strengths and weaknesses from within the style of leadership. So it is important for managers to be as flexible as possible. To be flexible allows for adaptation, and adaptation can accelerate employee development, which in turn creates a more productive and passionate workplace. When adapting, managers allow for self-awareness to rise. You make mistakes and you learn from them. Realizing that mistakes can be made is vital because you can't have success without failure. Also, realizing that not one style can be applied to all circumstances is important. The ability to adapt and change can lead to employee retention as well. When you create a positive work environment, people will realize their sense of value in the organization. To lose that sense of value is to ultimately lose the employee. As great as this leadership style sounds, there are some weaknesses. Factors that inhibit a manager from reaching leadership success is not realizing that the level of competency and maturity and motivation is variable, especially in a healthcare setting. Managers need to be able to assess the variance in these factors. They are essentially studying the playing field and creating a course of action. People have a wide variety of cultural backgrounds that are important to consider. Realizing the way to guide employees to organizational success is not dependent on one specific style, as stated in the previous slide. So that's where the one size doesn't fit all, I guess. Some managers do not take this into account and therefore can possibly guide people in the wrong direction. The level of competency in a manager is vital as well. Are they able to lead? Do they have the experience to guide or the mental capacity to do so? Organizations nowadays no longer look for just a boss. They look for someone to lead a group of people and bring out the best in them. So in this next slide, we'll come to a conclusion, and as a team, we'll give you guys a recommendation on what we think is the best leadership. So in conclusion, nowadays there seems to be a number of different ways a manager can lead or can approach a problem. Nic, Xing, and I believe that through the situational leadership model, it's the best concept to apply in any given situation. It combines the idea that there are variances out there that do not have a single exact way of handling a situation. Hershey and Blanchard combines the aspects of other styles into an easier, much more adaptable approach. Healthcare organizations are ever-changing, so it makes sense that the adaptability of this approach is the best fit. And like Kenneth Blanchard said, situational leaders give their people exactly what they want or what they need when they need it. They offer guidance, care, autonomy, and provide just the right amount of direction and support to help their team members succeed. Thank you for watching, and have a great